A lot of the inspiration I have for each of these podcast episodes comes from conversations I have with patients, with friends, with family, and this episode is no different. So we're going to dive in today about atomic habits and habit formation, building consistency within your routines, primarily related to health and wellness goals. So welcome back to Wellness Fixes the Pod. I'm your host, Dr. Kelsey Vick, a board-certified orthopedic doctor of physical therapy, a pelvic floor physical therapist, and a pelvic floor physical therapist. And this conversation has come up twice over the last, I'd say probably month or so. Oh, even shorter than that, honestly, maybe 2 weeks, where my cousin and one of my best friends were both talking about how to create these healthy routines given this life transition that they're in. My cousin graduating from college and moving into like a full-time job and her like true real adult life. And my friend who is just recently a mom of two and trying to figure out where to put exercise into her routine given the chaos of her life. And I thought it was a neat perspective to have both someone who's going from college into like her real adult job, and then someone who has been a mom of one, now going into a mom of two and learning how to navigate that. And that they're both struggling with the exact same thing. And the advice that I gave to both of them, in addition to just like commiserating with them, because I've totally been in their situation in regards to trying to rebuild consistency with a life change, not necessarily two kids, although I have gone from school to an adult job. So I haven't been in my cousin's situation, but not my friend's situation. But I thought it was interesting. Those conversations both came up over the last 2 weeks. So I figured let's dive in a little bit more, because as we start this new school year, as our general routines start to change going from summer into fall, I thought this was a necessary episode on things that I've learned when it comes to habits and consistency, and then science-backed tips for habits and consistency. So for starters, I was rebelling against the book Atomic Habits for the longest time. Everyone talked about the book Atomic Habits, and I just did not want to read it because of how popular it was. I'm not typically a rebel, but in this instance, I did not want to read it. But this year, my goal was to read all of the like boring business books or trendy business books or trendy self-help books. And I started with Atomic Habits, and it was fantastic. A lot of the tips and points in this book were sort of mindset shifts for me, and also allowed me to reflect on how I've been able to build some habits super consistently and some habits not super consistently. So we'll dive into what that book talks about when it comes to habit formation, and then we'll start to apply some of those categories in his process into some of the routines that a lot of people struggle with when it comes to their health and wellness. In order to make a habit, we want to break it down into a few different steps. We want to make it obvious, we want to make it attractive, we want to make it easy, and we want to make it satisfying. So we'll start with making it obvious. This means putting your clothes out on the chair the night before if you're going to have an early morning workout. A lot of the time when I am trying to form a habit for the first time, at the end of the day, I'll reflect on the time that I had throughout the day to do that habit and where I failed at doing that habit simply because I forgot, simply because I did not make it obvious. For example, if I'm trying to eat a little bit healthier, I am much more likely to grab vegetables that are pre-cut in the fridge already. I can just open the fridge, see the pre-cut vegetables, and grab those. So that's me making it obvious for myself. For someone who's trying to work out, again, putting those clothes on the chair at the beginning of the day, at the end of the day, whenever you're planning to schedule the workout, might just cue you in the right way in order to do the action that is going to build that habit. The second one, making it attractive. So work out with your favorite music, organize the meal prepping in the pantry. I don't know if you guys are like me, but I oftentimes pin the super aesthetic pantry organization or closet organization or fridge organization on my Pinterest, and that is a way to make meal prepping and healthy eating attractive. Same thing with working out. Work out to music, work out with a friend. Add in something that makes that habit attractive to you, especially in the beginning. We covered our dopamine system last week, and we've covered it before, but last week we related it to the Summer I Turned Pretty show. So if you missed that episode, I highly recommend to go back and listen to it, because along with making it attractive, we can't make it attractive every single time. We can't always work out with music, with friends, and making it super exciting every time, because then that excitement will wane a little bit and we'll have to add on something additional in order to maintain that motivation and maintain that pursuit towards that goal. So we covered that in last week's episode if you want to go check it out. The next step is making it easy. I'll relate it back to the meal prepping example and my goal of snacking a little bit healthier. I am much more likely to snack on vegetables that have already been cut up. If I see a full cucumber in the fridge, a full bell pepper, I am much less likely to grab it than if I am able to meal prep it the week before, the day before, or the Sunday before. If I chop it up, I'm much more likely to grab it. So that's present Kelsey, making it easier for future Kelsey. And the same thing applies to a lot of different habits. As you can make it easy and make it something where you don't have to cross as many barriers in order to accomplish the task that is going to get you to form that habit, the better off you'll be long term to form that habit. Another habit that I think I've mentioned before, but I wanted to have a dedicated hour of prayer every week where I really turned off all distractions and I journaled, brought my Bible, I brought all of the readings for the week. I wanted to have that dedicated hour. And in order to build that habit, I tried to make it easier on myself by after work, after my last patient, I would drop by the church on the way home, pray for an hour, and then head back home. So since I was already passing the church, might as well go into it and do the task that is going to make me form that habit of improving my prayer life and deepening my faith relationship by making it easy and just stopping by the church on the way home and not having to say, okay, on this Saturday, I'm going to drive to the church, pray, and then drive home. That's a greater barrier to entry for me than just driving to the church on my way home from work. And lastly, to form a habit, you have to make it satisfying. And that can mean occasional rewards. Maybe you want to work out a little bit more so you dress a little bit cuter, or maybe your goal is to eat healthier snacks. It's okay to make, little ants on a log or little animals with the vegetables, or put it in a really fun, cute little snack box for yourself, a bento box, whatever it is. It's okay to reward yourself by making it satisfying, whether visually, whether with a new outfit, whatever that healthy routine is you're trying to build, make it satisfying. In order to break a habit, we want to do the opposite of those. So we have to make it invisible, make it unattractive, make it hard, and make it unsatisfying. So for make it invisible, I struggle with this with snacking. A lot of the time in my pantry, I'm a big tortilla chips girl. Tortilla chips and salsa is my go-to. Tortilla chips, melted cheese. And I've found that when I make that snack option hidden or more invisible, I'm less likely to pull that snack and more likely to go check the fridge to see if I have healthier snack options available to me. If you struggle with watching TV when you're supposed to be exercising, maybe hide the remote to where you're always sort of searching, and then that might cue you, oh, that's right, I'm not necessarily wanting to do this anymore for my future self. I want to replace this habit or this routine that I've gotten into with a healthier routine in the form of exercise. Make it unattractive. I think cancellation fees are extremely unattractive. If I sign up for a workout class, I am way less likely to cancel myself. So even if you have to add a little bit of financial incentive to the task, I think that is a way to make it unattractive if you cancel on the studio or cancel on yourself. Make it hard. Coming back to the snacks. If I hide the chips in the deepest part of my drawer, in the back of my pantry, or on the back shelf of my pantry, and I have to move a lot of different things in order to access those chips, I'm way less likely to grab those because it takes a lot of effort to access them. So applying that make it hard strategy to those habits that you also want to break. And the last one, make it unsatisfying. So let's say you're trying to stop the doom scroll or stop the TV watching or limit your blue light exposure or get more sleep. If you can give yourself this ultimatum, like, okay, if I go over my screen time, I owe myself 25, 50 push-ups. Or if I turn on the TV and I'm watching it for more than 2 hours, I owe myself something that I do not like, unloading the dishwasher or doing a chore that I don't like to do. You can pair that habit that you want to break with an unsatisfying activity. Again, you have to have the discipline to follow it through. But if you can make that habit that you want to break unsatisfying, you're more likely to replace it with a habit that you want to implement for your future self. Some other general tips that I've really taken to heart, and probably things that have stuck with me the most since reading that book. The first one being, change the language you use and how you identify yourself. So if you're trying to form a habit and you're talking to a friend, and let's say you're trying to exercise more, if you say, oh yeah, I can't, I'm trying to exercise more, The act of you saying I'm trying to means that you identify as someone who currently isn't. I'm trying to exercise more, meaning I am not someone who exercises as much as I want to right now. And if you can switch the language to be like, I can't come tomorrow, I'm an exerciser, or I go to this Saturday morning yoga sculpt class every weekend and I can't miss it. So that's you identifying as someone who is an exerciser, who goes to this yoga sculpt class, rather than someone who's trying to be an exerciser. The classic example is smoking. If you say, I'm trying to quit smoking, that is still you identifying as a smoker who's trying to quit, rather than if you say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't smoke. Now you're identifying as a non-smoker. So applying that to whatever habit you're trying to build or trying to form will help you identify as that future version of yourself and that present version of you, in order to help you break a bad habit and then reform the habit that you actually want to form. And then lastly, again, this ties back to the dopamine system, but varying the rewards helps to maintain that motivation throughout the journey. If you always make it super satisfying, super exciting by working out with friends, by always eating your favorite snack, that's only going to increase your need for even more of a dopamine boost in order to get that motivation. So if you can vary the rewards and make it a little bit more intermittent when you get the rewards being, the new workout set, or working out with a friend, or doing your absolute favorite workout that it might be a little bit expensive. If you can vary those rewards, you'll be able to maintain that motivation for longer throughout your journey of habit formation. With the start of the school year, with the start of just sort of like this back half of the year, I thought it'd be fun to go through these habit formation tips and tricks and things like that. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It pairs well with the dopamine episode. So again, I highly recommend it's the episode right before this one. So check it out if you want to pair them. And if you're looking to bring in some new like healthy routines as we shift into the back half of the year, into this sort of like summer turns into fall, when things start to buckle down a little bit more and leave this like summer of fun stage that we're in. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you guys as always for your support. Thanks for listening. And I will see you guys again on the next episode of Wellness Big Sis the Pod.